Let's talk about the people who didn't like Kendrick on the Super Bowl. What up, words? Your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. Keep sending those Cashaps to CLBMG. Gang, listen. There's a woman called Harriet Tubman, right? And Harriet Tubman used to lead slaves to freedom. Harriet Tubman used to carry a weapon with her. And when she was leading these slaves to freedom, if you were a slave that wanted to turn back, wanted to argue with her instructions, didn't want to listen, didn't want to follow her instructions, or were just outright scared, Harriet Tubman would take that weapon and use it on you and make sure you didn't slow down the rest of the people who were headed to freedom. I say all that to say, when you are a revolutionary, a person who understands that you're behind enemy lines right now, when you see other people that get the message that we are in a fight, you tip your hat to them and you say good job and you continue on with the struggle. If this was a time where we were in such a race, in which we are, where if you slowed us down, Harriet would have to use her weapon on you, some of you guys would be in the woods right now with a cold body trying to figure out what happened, because the rest of us understand the fight. And I put up a bunch of shorts about Kendrick's performance, and the comments are heinous, gang. I'm just going to be honest. A lot of people do get it, right? A lot of people get it. But we have people now, for a myriad of reasons. One of them is they are consumed with another rapper that has a completely different style and agenda than Kendrick. And they make it their life's mission to clash with Kendrick in whatever he's doing. So a lot of these Drake fans on site were never going to like the performance, no matter what he did. He could have done 10 Drake songs in a row. They would have said this was trash because it wasn't Drake. So there was nothing he could do to a Drake fan to reach their psyche to say it was a good event. So we got to cross them off the list before we even start the conversation. Now, some of them, yeah, they're going to be open, but most of them ain't. And my comments showed they came in like the bear. Like, they came in ferocious and hot about Kendrick wasted his 15 minutes of fame. He's boring. He's out of pocket. Why would you use this time to try to be a rebel, to use it and waste people's time that are there just to be entertained? I seen it all. I seen it all. Then you got the person who was expecting a whole, I'm here to dance, sing, and entertain you for 13 minutes, and then I'm heading out of here and I'm gonna go get a cold one. They just wanted him to do records that they knew. And if they didn't know the record, then he can do a cover of someone else's record so they can just get this Super Bowl thing out the way. They wanted him to shuck and jive, do a bunch of songs that's catchy, and leave the arena. Then you get the people who are, let's just say they don't want this person's color or his music up there for any reason. And they're sick of it being this thing every year with this rap and these black guys. So some of those people clearly had zero tolerance and zero desire to watch or enjoy this show. Now, all of that seems like gloom and doom, but at the end of the day, it was the most watched Super Bowl halftime performance in history. End of the day. It did the biggest numbers we have seen yet. The Super Bowl allegedly was the most watched in history. And the game may have been whatever, but at the end of the day, the Super Bowl and the halftime show were consumed by millions of people. But people like myself loved it. People were really impressed and amazed by it. And I have a whole nother video where I told you that I had to watch it with people around me that didn't want to see him. So I couldn't enjoy it. So then when I watched it alone, I understood what was happening and I thought it was a great show. With that being said, the people right now are in a struggle, right? I'm just going to be honest. Right now, they are super divided. And it's almost like they expect you to understand their side. It doesn't matter if they love it or hate it. They're screaming right now. It's the most divisive thing I've ever seen. Stephen A. Smith did a poll. And I don't like the way he did the poll because it was weird, right? And Kendrick clearly won the poll. But why would you have a poll with 3 different answers when 2 of the answers are the same thing? So he basically said the poll was loved it, right? Liked it, hated it, right? So loved it got 30-something. I think liked it got 30-something. Hated it got 30-something. So they all got, it was like more or less all 3 categories were split evenly. What that means is 2 of the 3 categories mean people liked it. So that would mean 60% or more either enjoyed it or overly enjoyed it. Less than 40% had an issue with the show. That means that the show had a positive response. But when you go online, the voices are so loud that it was a bad show and it was the worst performance ever. And you got to understand, these Drake fans got out really quickly. I mean, I don't even think the show might have been over before they was writing worst performance ever. It was crazy, gang. I've never seen this kind of a narrative. 8, 9 different blog sites carrying the same message. It was swift and they were making sure they were heard. So a lot of the noise is rhetoric by people who want to spin a narrative. But what happened was within that next hour and a half, the narrative started to flood that was amazing. I can't believe how good that was. I loved the show. That narrative started to persuade the online opinion. It started to become, he did it again. Kendrick is a genius. It's like when you go to a critic site, IMDb, and the movie comes out, the very first responses are paid responses. It's a bunch of them. It's a bunch. And it's going to have a certain tone. Whatever they want that tone to be, that's what it's going to be. Because they want that first jump to be what people think. Then the real responses start to come in later. And those numbers start to shift. And what the movie really is going to shine through when everybody starts telling you the real opinion. So what it's looking like to me, most people enjoyed the show. But you can't tell it when you go into these comment sections and you see these people ripping it apart. So I'm asking myself, and they're in my comments ripping it apart, right? Well, not in my video comments, but like the shorts. Shorts go to different people, right? Shorts are they have a wider audience. And people are more likely to write some really crazy stuff under a short than a real whole video. So the narrative now is, why are you using this time, Kendrick, to protest? We don't want to hear that. It's boring. You're a fake activist. It's a lot of criticism from people who don't understand what's going on. So let me talk to you about that in a second. The problem a lot of people jumped out the window and said is boring, right? They're expecting a whole clash and dash. And like I said before, they removed the pyrotechnics from the show because the sitting president was there. So a lot of the explosions and boom and pow you thought you were going to get, he couldn't even do. So that right there took away a lot of your big moments that you thought were supposed to be Justin Timberlake-ish or whatever, right? For two, hip-hop is not like any other genre. When Snoop went up there on stage, when he did it with Dr. Dre, they told him he could not smoke. And he smoked. So what I'm telling you is hip-hop breaks the rules, gang. We're not built to be anything that the system and the corporations tell us to be. So if you give a real hip-hop, any real hip-hopper, not these Candygram dudes that are trying to masquerade as hip-hoppers, but they really only in it for the money. I'm talking about someone that's in it for the culture. And I started it out with the Harriet Tubman reference because the people running with Harriet Tubman would not have to be explained to why we are running in the first place. A lot of people in my comments don't understand what he was doing up there in the first place with the flag, Samuel L. Jackson. They're like, what revolution is going on, B? What are you talking about? He's acting like he's oppressed. He ain't oppressed. This guy's a millionaire. What you mean, B? You got to realize everybody ain't here with this. Our culture used to be, and I say this very strongly, you didn't have to explain what was going on. When we did a boycott back in the day, down south, when we stopped riding the buses, because they didn't want, a lot of reasons, there was a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons was they wanted us to ride the back of the bus. And we were tired of that. We had a lot of different boycotts for a lot of different reasons. We were being treated like subhumans, but they would gladly take your nickel or whatever it was to ride that bus. They would take your money to do your laundry. They would take your money for this, that, and the third, but you had to eat in the back of the restaurant outside with the cats. And they would charge you for that, right? So a lot of stuff that we knew was wrong, we were being treated like subhumans. I didn't have to tell Hattie Mae, explain to her why we're boycotting. I didn't have to explain to Harold or Jimmy what we're going to boycott. We all were in the fight together. We knew that this was wrong. We knew that we could walk down the street and they could roll up on us and bust our head open and nothing would happen to them. There was no recourse. We knew it because we were in a struggle together for freedom. Now, we've achieved a level of what we believe is freedom. So now a lot of these people online don't get the message anymore that we're still fighting, gang. There's still a lot of lopsided things going on. You are still in subhuman conditions, but you don't understand that because you can go on your phone and be in the real world that you think is real, and you think you're equal as everybody you're talking to on there. So you're like, what fight, B? It ain't no fight. What we doing? Because you're brainwashed to think that Kanye West is a genius. And everything that he says is funny, right? So right now, we have no culture. Because the simple fact, if I got to explain to you, I know this shit was not boring. This guy is a black man who they don't want up there in the first place. And he's telling a story with these different symbols. He's not being overt with it, because you can't be overt. They would take it down. He's telling a story of what's going on. It was a story of upper class, lower class, rich people, poor people. It was a lot going on in that modern arts dance routine that they put together. But you don't care about that. You just want to be entertained. That's the problem. That's why the shotgun at the back of your head, because they're entertaining you. Right? In a minute you ain't entertained no more, that's when they pull the trigger. You're entertained, so you're not a threat. If this was back in the day, you would be fine eating in the back of that restaurant outside with the cats, because you think that's how it's supposed to be. The rest of us, we're running with Harriet because we know we need to get out of this. It ain't all fun and games like you think it is. It's a lot of us that's struggling, and they're about to make it worse. But you're asking, why don't he just do his hit records? It's a lot going on, gang. If you're not paying attention, of course you're going to say, well, explain to me what's so deep about it. Because you're not paying attention. You're playing Fortnite. You're doing some goofy shit. You're listening to music that has no freaking meaning to it. This ain't something you can crash course. You can't learn this in no freaking afternoon. You gotta live this, gang. You gotta understand this from day one. You gotta be in this fight that we're in. And when you're not, you look at this stuff as foreign to you. You don't have any purpose in this world. You're trying to smash chicks and make money. You don't understand there's a whole culture out here that's thriving without you. You're on the outside of it. Your top 5 list is garbage, all of it. Everything you're playing in your car is trash. You have no substance, but that's partially due to the corporate structure taking away that substance, and it's due to a lot of our elders not living up to the promise they were supposed to do. A lot of them got caught up in the game too. A lot of them saw the money over there and they ran to it. A lot of them. They didn't stay focused and teach these kids the way they were supposed to. So now you got grown men that don't understand the concept of just preservation. So now we got to explain to you why it's necessary to do a uplifting piece when you're on the biggest stage in the world. The NFL is 80% black men running around trying to kill each other, right? If we can't reach each other during that time, then when we going to do it? Someone actually wrote in my comments, black people are only 13% of the population. Why do they think they need to have a message in the first place? And this guy was black. Gang is wild. So we're supposed to be small and diminish ourselves because in your mind, we're the minority. For some reason, we wasn't the minority when we was picking that cotton, making this country a trillion dollar industry. Right? For some reason, we wasn't that small when they, quote unquote, freed us and then took us right back as indentured servants because they needed us. Right? What people don't understand, we still indentured servants. Because we are 100% still dependent on if they say, you get a job. Right now, there is no structure for us. They have a structure. They can say DEI hires are cooked tomorrow. And they're going to be fine. Will you be fine? When you don't understand what you're up against, then you don't have nothing to fight. There's a lot going on that you think every song should reflect the dumbest shit in the world. It's not like that. It's a deeper meaning, but we can't be overt with it all the time. Sometimes it's going to be symbolism. And the Super Bowl is the perfect place because these people are gathering, paying thousands of dollars to watch black men flip each other over. Gladiator sport. 100% injury rate. It is a 100%, and if you suit up in pads, you will be injured. It's just a fact. So what other place on earth you got black men and women watching a sport that counts on their bodies being destroyed? Why should we always get up there and continue to entertain? Sometimes we need to say some shit. This ain't always right. We're the same people they're demonizing right now, taking away the Civil Rights Acts and trying to pull you out of them jobs and trying to trick you out of your money by telling you to quit your job in the government that you've been there for 20 years. It's a lot going on, gang. And I know it's better to just walk around like you don't know and you're waiting for the next release of Lil Baby and whoever else you're rocking with. Some of us are rebels, gang. Some of us understand what's going on. Some of us understand we are not where we need to be. We are not sufficient. And when this thing goes down, Project 2025, whatever that is, right? When they get all the pieces in place, it ain't going to be good for you. But you think the show was boring. It was boring. And maybe it was. Maybe it was. But you know what? A lot of this social media stuff gives a lot of lame people the power to speak out on things they don't fully understand. And a lot of people love to be just ignorant. They love to just be placated to and to be simplified. They want their race to be looked at as a just one thing. You put it in a pot and it only make one flavor. Well, we're not that, gang. And I'm going to put it to you like this. You have every right to not like the show. That's fine. But a lot of you people's reasonings for not liking it, like I said, don't fit what we're doing. It's one thing for it not to be your flavor, but a lot of you guys didn't like it just because it had a message. I don't think that's a reason to not like something. And I also feel like if we're trying to move as a people toward a goal, some of us just got to move. I think a lot of people are rocking the boat just to rock it. They don't have no real reason. They don't have no real goals. They just rocking it. We're trying to get somewhere, gang. I don't know if all of you going to be able to go with us, but we're trying to get somewhere. I'm going to end it on this. No, everybody does not have to like it. No, it does not mean you're not hip-hop if you didn't like it. But what I don't want you to ever misconstrue, that if someone up there is doing real hip-hop in a real way, that somehow it has to entertain you. Some things are just meant to give you the message, and you're supposed to decipher it. Point blank, period. That's it. It's not supposed to be Sammy Davis Jr. up there tap dancing, making you clap your hands and stomp your feet. That's for another rapper for another time. Kendrick did the perfect performance. It was right where it was supposed to be. And I do know that he did a lot of dissing of Drake, and that was what it was. That's what it was. So, on that note, CLBMG, I'm gonna catch you on that flip side. Peace.
Look, mission impossible to drop a few lines without dropping old times when Southern Hill was still a gold mine. When pistol grips was my shit and I sold mine. When Alias was not a show and they told mine.
CLB.